Hi, I'm Ronnie Greatrex, and I'm gonna read now the first chapter of my book Cataclysmic Rain, and it's been probably 2 years since I've read it, and I don't know how long it's gonna take to read this to you. And anyway, here it goes. And if the audio or the video, or whatever, doesn't show up, because I was looking at my other video and it froze, and it was saying that it couldn't show the video, but it would still continue audio. So just try to be patient because it's just coming from my iPhone. I have a video camera, but I don't have a computer anymore. It died. Anyway, so here it goes. Chapter 1, Shoshana, Cataclysmic Rain. It's on Amazon.com for like $3. Alright, so here we go. I'm gonna read you my story to the best of my abilities. Okay. It's good. It's a good start. Okay. Chapter 1. Elizabeth had been driving for 6 to 8 hours until the lines on each side of the road began to blur into one. The motel she had chosen to sleep at through map printing and research was still at least 70 miles away. Her new job waited 3 states beyond. This opportunity meant the world to her. The prospect of meeting new people, finding friends, and even the possibility of true love and happiness. She grew up never knowing her father. Her mother could be so cold, even when she didn't have a bottle in her hand. If anything, alcohol just brought out those demons in the form of physical abuse. Their relationship was never close and always frail. After their last fight, when her mother hit her, Elizabeth fought back for the first time and swore from that day that both of her parents were deceased. They haven't spoken in over 5 years. The location she chose for her job is at opposite ends of the states from where her mother lives. In a closing mile, she sees a place to stop, where she and her car can have a much-needed break. As she pulled up to the gas station, the attendant came out, welcoming her with an open heart and simple but caring words. "How you doing, darling? My name's Sam. How may I help you today?" "Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Just unleaded and maybe check the fluids for me?" "Not a problem." Although his experiences may have placed him in the path of tough times with long, lonely roads, still he shined with an eternal peace from within. Sam was the type of man who clearly loved learning and testing out his mind, but on his own terms. Among the interests in his life, fixing and caring for both cars as well as people has always been two of his most valued passions. Two most valued passions. I'm learning to read with you. I'm learning to read. This is terrible. I should have read this first and then did it over again in a better form. So forgive me, please. Alright. His heartfelt smile and soothing words are an everlasting tribute to this. Elizabeth watched Sam work for a while, inspecting and refilling fluids. For several minutes they simply enjoyed the serenity of the day, sharing in its solitude. Lost in the depths of her own thoughts, she contemplated if her present choices would finally add some sense of closure or happiness to her lonely life. Every time she loved someone, she gave so much while receiving so little in return. With every broken heart, the pain seemed to settle in a little deeper. But still, she hoped that the next one would be the love of her life. "Hey Sam, I need to use your restroom. Where can I find the key?" Sam was clearly in his element, placing coolant, not breaking eye contact from the task set out before him. "Haven't got a key, but the bathrooms are right around the back, hon." "Okay, thanks." As Elizabeth walked to the restroom, she took notice of 2 men standing by their truck, fixating their eyes on her and her body. Under a different set of circumstances, if they were gentlemen just checking her out, it could make a woman feel attractive. But the way they stared was with no compassion and lust staining their eyes, which caused her to feel nothing but disgust. By instinct, her eyes aligned with one of theirs, reflecting her nausea for their disrespectful behavior. He smirked, and within it she felt how hollow his soul truly was. A sense that these two men were pure evil. She picked up her stride and made it to the restroom, locking the door behind her. The light in the room was a dull yellow, would offer no surprise if it were to burn out at any moment. She prolonged her time in the bathroom, hoping that Sam would be done with her car and those guys would be gone. After unlocking the door and stepping outside, she looked in both directions out of fear of what they might do if they thought they could get away with it, or just didn't care either way. She saw no one. Dear Lord. She saw no one and walked to the front of the station. Their truck was gone, and Sam was too. Elizabeth took in a breath, expelling it in relief as she went inside, finding Sam with his feet propped up, television on, and gracefully napping. "Excuse me, Sam," she said softly. He gently awoke, looking slightly embarrassed as he smiled. "Sorry, Liz, not much to do around here these days. I think I sleep sometimes just to pass the time." "I wish I had that kind of time to spend on resting." Sam laughed. He stood up and walked Elizabeth to her car, looking up at the sky. Dark clouds were rolling in quickly as the wind increased and thunder erupted close by. Sam could see a hard rainfall was closing in on them. He opened her car door to let her in and shut it with care. Seeing that she was safe inside, he asked, "How far are you heading?" "Arizona. I'm the new teacher for our Native American school there." "Well, that's great. And with your kind heart, I know you'll do well." Oh my god, I'm terrible at this. I know you'll do well. I'm not trying to make this a comedy. I'm really not. It's just that it's been so long since I read this and I'm not used to reading out loud. So I'm just completely special. God. Anyway, how much for the checkup and gas? 17 ought to cover it. As she started her engine, the sound of it was distorted, and Sam suddenly felt something was wrong. "Liz, that engine doesn't sound right. Let me have a look at her." Yes, I'm rolling my eyes every time I turn a page because this is terrible. Alright. Not the book or the story, I just mean me reading it to you. My hair is like all messed up. Alright. Sam, it's fine. Sam, it's fine. She just acts up sometimes. "Okay, listen, you have any problems, you come back here, if you're not too far out. Next station on this barren road isn't for 40 miles. I'll be fine. Looks like a storm is going to break at any moment, so I better get going. Thank you for everything." "You're welcome, Liz. You be careful and drive safely." Elizabeth lost track of how many miles she drove before her car suddenly made a loud banging sound, causing her to jump out of her skin. The car skidded on an angle to the side of the road with the tires screeching. She popped the hood of the smoking engine to overlook the damage, but she knew nothing about repairing cars. She saw no homes in the distance around her, just thick sets of trees and grassy fields. The engine stopped smoking, and Elizabeth hoped for the impossible, that maybe the car had just overheated and would fix itself if given enough time to cool off. As she stared into the distance, she heard a vehicle pull up behind hers and come to a stop. Hopefully it was someone who knew more about cars than she did. "You having car trouble, miss?" She looked around the hood to see the two men from the gas station walking around on each side from the back of her car. Both of them bore grim smiles on their faces. Instantly, she realized they had done something to her car while she was in the bathroom, and Sam must have been inside already. Fear clutched her heart as she ran toward the trees. The two men chased after her. She was slimmer and faster than both of them, but she was unsure how long she could keep up this pace. She shook off the negative thoughts and kept moving. As she ran into the patches of deep forest, thunder rumbled in the sky, and the rain began its descent. She could hear their rants of frustration as she disappeared into the woods. They lost sight of her under the canopies of the trees, which provided her a blinding cover. She paused for a moment to catch her breath and to decide in which direction to run with the hope of finding help. Beyond the trees, the fields were already beginning to flood by the rain, and there she spotted a house barely visible in the shower. She would make it, and hopefully the owner would have a gun to protect them with from these men. God. In her mind, she pictured an old woman, probably a widow, simply taking on the responsibilities of living day by day. Lightning flashed across the sky, signaling her muzzles like the gun at the start of a great race that your life depended on. Elizabeth ran past the end of the trees and into the muddy fields, which slowed her down but could not stop her, because she knew fully well that if they would catch her, they would torture and kill her. Then all of a sudden she stopped running because her body felt like it was on fire. She saw a shimmering light and heard someone scream during what sounded like a bomb going off. She fell to her knees and her body went numb. Looking over her hands, her snowy white skin was now crimson, the smoke rising in waves as she realized the scream had come from within her own body. The two men heard her wail and responded with laughter as they ran toward her. They were no more than 3 feet from her now, witnessing that she had been struck by lightning. The sky sounded out a war cry in the form of thunder. Lightning flashed down upon Elizabeth, enveloping her within its blinding and a blazing grasp. Sound became absent. Around her, the ground imploded with arcs dancing back up toward the silver sky, sending the two men unconscious and in flight across the muddy surface of the fields. Elizabeth felt her body lift from the ground. Pain no longer had any jurisdiction over her flesh, blood, or bone. In one last fiery stride, the lightning held her while her eyes burned white, looking upward toward the thundering atmospheric sky. All that she was on earth disintegrated, pouring upward as the electric current traveled with her. Lightning pierced every cloud, thunder clapped in all directions, celebrating the birth of a new being. Then all at once the force of lightning gathered to its full strength and struck the land, scorching the area around it before exploding, sending childlike sparks everywhere. The electrical arc slightly burned the skin of both men as they lay unconscious on the ground. The smoke rose from the ground and parted to reveal Elizabeth's newly formed body, harnessed of the elements of thunder, lightning, cloud, and rain. Millions of tiny arcs of lightning surged within the chambers of her now fully electric heart. They danced through the pipelines of every water-filled vein. Her eyes were set ablaze with white-hot energy, a pair of mirrors reflecting the symphony of Mother Nature from within. Her two potential murderers were about to receive in full force their last lesson in consideration. Both men awoke seconds apart and saw the curtains of night had been drawn, and that she was standing near them. Her head was bent down with dark wet hair covering her eyes as the rain continued to fall. They could clearly see that she was smiling. One man stood, still thinking he had some level of control over his or her destiny. The other sat in the mud, knowing something was very wrong, but fear alone couldn't tell him what. The standing man spoke, not realizing in that moment they would be his last words. "I thought for sure you were dead." Yeah, I'm putting a little country accent on that, forgive me. But they're supposed to be country. Anyway, and when she interrupted, they felt her voice booming within their bodies like a vibrant thunder. "I was, and now I'm filled with life. I am Shoshana, the mother of rain and lightning. For all you've ever done, for everything you would have done, and for all the lives you've destroyed, I convict you both to suffer for the last remaining seconds left of your existence." The man, paralyzed in the mud, released what remained of his bowels as she lifted her face. Her dark hair parted, and they both witnessed her burning ivory-lit eyes. She raised her hand toward the man She raised her hand toward the standing man, and a cyclone formed, spinning him perpetually. Electricity circled in waves, tearing his clothes and singing his skin until his body surrendered, bursting into a brimming set of flames. He tried screaming, begging for mercy, but no one could hear him over the cyclone's song. When it's finished, all that remains of him are burning ashes floating in the air. Shoshana smiles at the glowing beauty of it all against the charcoal skies. The soiled man, with tears falling, feels several of the ashes stinging his... The soiled man, with tears falling, feels several of the ashes stinging his face and arms. Unable to form words, he decides to attempt an escape. He first shifts backwards, sloshing helplessly in the mud, then turns himself around and starts crawling to a running position. Shoshana looks upon him, tilting her head to the side in curiosity and amusement. Electricity arcing from eye to eye. Even her grin is luminous. As the man picked up his pace, she lifted her other hand toward the field, lightning flowing from her fingertips, slithering along the ground in snake-like waves after him, much faster than his ability to move. Several wisps of lightning bite into his calves and ankles. Thunder clashes with the sky above, deflecting his feeble attempts to emit a scream. Her eyes gaze at the clouds, and lightning answers, jetting down its vigor upon him, lifting and burning him in the air. His back arching as he is vaporized into a collection of red and orange ashes. Shoshana discharges a laugh that echoes throughout the sky. She holds out both of her arms as lightning bursts from her palms. She then forms into an immense bolt from her elemental body on Earth, striking into the center of the atmosphere. The heavy clouds above them change their course, and the wind begins to blow in a new direction, heading west toward the region of Arizona. The end. Okay, so that was not bad. 17 minutes. Oh, it's more than I had anticipated. Alright, so people that were friends with me and stuff like that completely always like compared her to Storm from the X-Men, but I never really felt like Storm, you know, that was more, I don't know. It's just, anyway, she's not Storm. I mean, if anything, my inspiration was Raiden from Mortal Kombat, and also, I gotta hope I got this right, I think he was called Thunder or Lightning from Big Trouble in Little China. That was like my main inspiration, because I loved Big Trouble in Little China when I was a kid. Anyway, so yeah, that would be the characters that really inspired me, because I don't know, I mean, X-Men, for the most part, you know, I mean, Storm never did the stuff that I would have wanted that character to do. You know, it wasn't realistically... Anyway, it wasn't risky. Oh my god, I can't talk. It just, I mean, this is the way I would wanted my character to be. I mean, if I wrote Storm, you know, merciless, and, you know, if somebody's trying to kill you, you objectively kill them. You don't just, you know, catch them or just hurt them. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. So that's the way I would want any character with that kind of power to have. The next video I shoot, because I can't even upload this, I think, until like Monday, because I'm going to be working at my fun-filled job. And again, you can buy this on Amazon.com for $2.99. And you can actually buy on eBay too. I think I'm going to say that through every video. It's $14.99 on eBay, and I think that includes shipping if I'm right. So, for $14.99. Under Cataclysmic Rain or Ronnie Great Rex. And thank you for watching and suffering through my horrible attempt at reading for the first time on camera. And actually I haven't read out loud in a very, very long time. Usually I'm just reading within my mind if I'm reading a book. But it's actually been a while since I read too, because it's so much easier watching a movie. But anyway, so thank you for watching, and this is almost 20 minutes, and have a great day or night, or, you know, and again, thank you. Alright, bye-bye. Actually, no, I'm gonna wait that another 7 seconds. It's 5, 4. Alright, thank you. Bye-bye. Can't turn you off.